Welcome to Pyrion Flax's guide to Escape from Tarkov. I've been streaming a lot of Tarkov lately because I think this patch is probably one of the best ones yet. And the number one question people ask in chat is, how does this game work? But this isn't one of those actual guides. There's a ton of those. You'll see them all over YouTube. How to loot reserve, or the best meta guns, or how to farm killer, or whatever. No. This is a guide about what it's actually like playing Tarkov when you're terrible at games. Escape from Tarkov is a PvP extraction looter-shooter made by Battlestate Games. You loot, you shoot, and you scoot. That's it. Loot is just lying around on the map, and you just grab it. Sometimes it's behind locked areas you need a special key for. You'll never find that key, so don't worry about that part. Shooting is inevitable. It will mainly be done to you, but occasionally you get lucky. But if you do shoot someone, they will always have at least two friends. And at that point, we scoot. Learn to run away and get to an extract point and try to leave the map with your hard-earned loot. That's it. That's the game loop. To play, you equip your character on your inventory screen, like selecting armor and a backpack and guns and ammo and medical supplies and all that. And then after about 7 years of loading, you get into a raid against other players on a map of your choice. The match begins, you walk for 2 seconds, and you get shot in the face and die. Believe me, that is going to be your experience of Tarkov for some time as a new player. You will die a lot. You will die to things you didn't know could kill you. You will not be able to tell where you're being shot from. You will miss a lot of shots. You will forget to wear armor, to bring ammo. You will get hopelessly lost in the woods. That's the new player experience, and honestly, it's a pretty hardcore game. You will spend a lot of time hiding in a corner and praying, while around you a huge battle seems to be raging that you are never a part of. It's like some mysterious, dramatic story happening somewhere else on the map. There are 3 game modes. PMC. This is like your main character. This is your guy. As you play, you level up the skills and stuff. Anything that you put on this lad and take into the raid, if you die, you lose it. Scav. This is like a sort of free run that you get on a cooldown timer. You're replacing one of the hobos that inhabits the map. You know, the little AI lads that one-tap you through a bush when they shout like Kepka and stuff like that. Now it's your turn. It turns out it's harder than it looks. But it's pretty good, pretty fun, pretty relaxing, and if you survive on your scav, you get to keep whatever your scav had. And offline mode, this is for cowards. So that's all well and good. But what you really need to understand is the different kinds of player you'll meet, because not all PMCs are equal. Chads versus Timmys. These are 2 popular terms in Tarkov circles. Chad and Timmy are polar opposites, and they can never really be friends. It's just the state of the world, really. That's it. First up, Chads. They always have the biggest backpack possible to fit all their loot in. They have some weird skull mask you don't recognize. They have guns and attachments you've never even seen on the wiki. Lasers and flashlights everywhere. These are players with a ton of hours in the game across multiple wipes. They bring the best gear to each raid. They use stims to make themselves more powerful and unstoppable. They use the best ammo, the best guns, the best armor, the best everything. They're matrix dodging bullets, leaping out of windows like it's a movie. They hear a fight and they run towards the danger. They are the ones who will solo wipe you and your mates like it's nothing at all. They are terrifying. Timmy is the guy who brings the guns he got from his scav run. He doesn't bother repairing them, he doesn't bring meds, he won't hit anyone with any of his shots, he'll stand in the open, check in a duffel bag and die to a hail of gunfire. Timmy doesn't really seem to be having much fun. Timmy will also tap out at around level 12 and not pick up the game again until the next wipe, but more on that later. Now, given what I've said, you may think that Chad needs to be avoided, but Chad is acutely aware that he is the most valuable player on the map. Meaning that at heart, Chad is terrified. He is sweating. Even his sofa-sized backpack is sweating. Because losing to a so-called Timmy, this is their term, not mine, is unbearable to them. Their ego is so fragile that they even beg the developers of the game, Battlestate Games, to help them by locking the good ammo behind complex quests so that Timmys can't land a lucky shot and one-tap them through their expensive armor. They are a nervous wreck. Out of their minds on stims, thrown into a battle zone. They will not risk dying to Timmy. They can't handle the shame. Every bush conceals danger, because what Chad truly fears is me. The rat. Rat is another popular term in the Tarkov community to describe a certain playstyle. Imagine spending 35 minutes hiding in a bush, watching a single door. Imagine lying in the shadows and praying to hear the footsteps of some unaware passerby. General Sam has done more for the rat cause than anyone else, but the king of rats right now, in my opinion, is Stank Rat. You can check out his vids and his stream. It's truly the playstyle of the connoisseur. It requires map knowledge, guts, and above all, patience. In other games, people might call this just camping, but it's much more than that. Camping is an essential part of ratting. But people miss the detail by just calling it that. It's not just camping. It's about imagination. It's a tech race. As Chad discovers your hiding spots and your secret routes, you need to constantly stay one step ahead, always innovating, always surprising from new angles and with new techniques. There are no limits. You will shoot fellow scavs if they look juiced. Morality does not exist for the rat. It's also about enjoying the suffering of other players. Now, Chad may cry about this playstyle, because Chad imagines himself to be some kind of gentleman gamer, but maybe you're not very good at video games. You need to learn how to acquire money, not by taking honest fights, by doing complex quests and using fancy keycards to unlock treasure. You need to ambush, to pick over the bones of the dead, to loot places nobody bothers going, to scurry out from the shadows just long enough to make some precious rubles. Rubles. Money. Cash. Skrilla. Bunts. Wonga. The green stuff. If you have cash, everything is easy. You lose your gear, you can just buy more. Need some stuff to upgrade your hideout? Yeah, you can just buy that. Money removes all fear from the game. So I focus on getting cash as soon as I can, and in stacks so high I run out of inventory slots. Everybody wants money. It's easy to make when you know how, and there are lots of options out there for you, so don't be afraid. Now, I am a rat, like I said, but what I am more than anything at heart really is a loot goblin. All I really care about is getting good items and selling them. That's it. And that's why at times my playstyle would best be described as turbo ratting. Back in the golden age of ratting, I ran the golden road. Go to reserves, spawn in with nothing but a hatchet, run to the tech spawns, that's where the most valuable loot is, grab the Bitcoin, shove it up your ass, then die or extract, didn't matter. Do that all day, make money. BSG hated that, so they took it away. Because BSG hates rats. They will do everything they can think of to stop us. That's what makes it such a noble pursuit. We're not just fighting against the players, we're fighting against the makers of the game. But I found a way to make money this wipe, and I do that every wipe, and I will run it all day, every day, for weeks. Because that's what Chad will never understand about the Turbo Rat. It's not about success or failure. It's a numbers game. When I die or I fail, I hardly lose anything. And when I succeed, I win it all. Some other details you might need to know about. Spawn locations. These are important. It's one of the most important things in Tarkov to learn, really. Where you are and where the enemies are likely to be at the time the map starts. Sometimes you get a great spawn and get to the best spots to camp other players or near a quest or near some good loot or, to do whatever you want to do. But 99% of the time you will spawn in the open with a single small bonsai tree for cover, and players will spawn either side of you and they will always be beefed out. You can just curl up into a ball and wait it out. That's what I recommend. Just hide. Just wait. I will wait 30 minutes just hiding in a cupboard for everyone else to go play Tarkov. Then I crawl out, do my quests or whatever, and leave. Maybe kill some scavs on the way out, bring some food and water, write a little poem. There's no rush for the rat. Remember, patience. Escaping. Each map has extracts. These are the ways you leave the map. You'll be assigned a few possible extracts when you load in. You got to wait for like 10 minutes before leaving, or it'll be a run through and your stuff doesn't count as found in raid. In other words, if it's not found in raid, you can't sell it on the flea market, and that's how a rat makes his money. Also, some extracts need you to have a scav with you, or you have to pay a guy, or you need some special equipment or whatever. One of the best is when you can pay like this local Uber driver to drive you to safety. For some reason, he still makes you wait a full minute, despite gunshots and explosions going off outside the car. But whatever, he's a good lad. The following maps have decent extract locations. Streets, customs, woods, labs, weirdly enough, ground zero, and shoreline. The following maps have the worst extracts in the game. Lighthouse, because the entire map is horrific. Avoid. Interchange. All the extracts suck. Easily camped, right out in the open across an open field, and pretty much everyone just has these 2 extracts, so it's dreadful. Avoid this map. Reserve. They're all terrible. It kind of made sense when Reserve was a hot map, but now it's garbage. It's impossible to get out alive most of the time. I know because I am the guy camping that D2 extract. The best guns. There's the best guns, and then there's the actual best guns. Alright, Chad thinks it's some meta gun with some meta ammo or whatever. Chad knows every single attachment. He can tell you what ammo it is just by looking at it. He sniffs out good guns and good attachments and picks them up, and he goes on Reddit and posts these walls of text about the penetration differential of X ammo versus Y armor. He thinks he knows what the best gun is on paper. Who cares? It's not. The best gun is the cheapest gun you can get from a level 1 trader. It's that scav gun you got last raid. It's still a gun. My choice of weapon this wipe is the Kedda. 30 rounds of death in under a second. Aim for Chad's face or his armpit. The gun is cheap. The ammo is cheap. And nobody bothers looting it. So you get it back on insurance like 9 times out of 10. Don't put any attachments on it unless you want to be really cool and put the vendor purchasable silencer on it. If you kill Chad and get his gun, just sell it. You don't know what you're doing with that gun. You won't be able to get good ammo for it. Just sell it. It might be worth like 200k. One Chad gun is worth about a dozen loadouts. Think about the bottom line, friends, always. Nikita is the face of BSG and the lad who appears on live streams saying some fairly random stuff. At times he's right. At other times it feels like maybe he's making it up on the spot. But he's the man. And every 6 months or so, the devs will wipe the slate clean for everybody. You go back to level 1. You have hardly any starting loot compared to where you were at the end of the wipe. Sort of like Rust. Everyone goes back to the starting square. It's what keeps Tarkov fresh. Playing through old quests might seem annoying, but a lot of the quests are actually quite fun. A lot of them are not fun, and you might find yourself hitting a brick wall eventually, but it happens to everyone. And more on that later. Tarkov is hard. There are other things like bosses you can kill. They have bodyguards, there are rogues, there are raiders, there are AI scavs that get lucky and dome you. There are grenade launcher emplacements that the scavs can use. There are landmines, booby traps, cultists who come out in the dead of night and will silently stalk you and stab you with a poisoned knife. I'm not even kidding. It gets scary out there. But that's not what makes this game hard. Here's where I wanted to give like a little mini lecture about what I think really makes Tarkov hard, and maybe even how BSG could improve it. What really makes it hard is that you have one path through the game. All the quests and where they are and what you have to do is the same for every single player. You could be brand new and you've still got to do some really tough quests. You're going to have to look them up on the wiki for guidance. Not all the detail is there in the game. Sometimes it's very specific. Sometimes it's kind of difficult to really even understand what you need to do, which is why there's wikis that offer that solution. It's hard. It's really hard. Some of the quests expect you to be able to do things on a map full of other players trying to do the same things in the same places around the same time. And for a lot of players, they get stuck on these quests. There's no way around them. Imagine it like a single lane motorway, and you've got people doing different speeds in that motorway, and they're all stuck in the same lane. But instead of overtaking you, they're just going to go straight through you. And eventually you're just going to be ground into the tarmac like roadkill. That's a problem. In most other games, there's an alternate route. You can take it at your own pace. It's slower or it's easier. But not in Tarkov. There is one path. And on some quests, in this wipe, the one that everyone seems to be struggling on is a quest called Setup. You have to get a bunch of kills while wearing a particular outfit on a map that doesn't really suit the gun you have to use. That's very difficult. I haven't even attempted this quest. I just gave up on it straight away. And I'm level 30. Most players that play Tarkov give up pretty early on. Most of them haven't even done a quest that the rest of us would consider a beginner quest, like an intro quest. And they get to that point and they go, this is too hard. But there is a solution. The solution is that there are multiple routes. And remember, this is just my idea. If you don't like it, that's fine. It's just a suggestion. Rather than just have one path through the game, you have two paths. The Chad path, which is the same quests as ever, with the big rewards, and you'll get there quicker, and you can even get multiple quests done in one raid, all that kind of stuff. And then you have the route for the rest of us, the more casual player, the person who maybe only plays a few hours a week, but they still want to make progress. So what you give them is the soft route. And the soft route is longer but easier. Let's give you an example quest. Samples. Samples is a quest where you have to get a whole bunch of those injector stim things. Some of them are extremely rare, and pretty much the only way you're going to get this quest done is going to somewhere like labs, getting a key card, getting into that labs area, getting those cool stims, and surviving the raid. A lot of people are not going to be able to do this quest. The majority of players in Tarkov are not going to be doing this quest. So why isn't there a second route? A second, slower route that gives less of a reward. Chad gets the samples quest. He gets the money, he gets some stims, he gets some cool stuff, but he has to get all these rare stims, and he can do that because he's going to be running labs. The soft route would be to acquire 50 morphine injectors. It's going to take a long time. It's pretty grindy. Maybe 40 is even too many. But you can get there because they spawn all over the place. Your lesser player, your casual player, players like me, can take this optional, easier route and still feel like they're making progress in the game. I'm just saying I think that might be one way to solve things, to offer a sort of soft path. Imagine that it's a mountain. Chad wants to go straight up the north face as fast as he can, get to the summit, fight other Chads, do cool stuff. But for us, we want to take that winding staircase that leads up the mountain. It's much slower. Nobody's going to be covering you in glory for doing this. No one's going to be saying, well done, you acquired 40 morphine injectors. It's methodical work. It's really boring work, but it's progress. And I think that's a positive idea. So that's it. That's my guide to escaping from Tarkov. It's a really fun game. It's a really hard game. If you want to see me play it and see that particularly ratty playstyle come to the fore, head on over to my stream. That's where I spend most of my time. Playing this game, putting all of this theory into practice, and it's a lot of fun. It really is a lot of fun. So yeah, cheers for watching. Take it easy.